time and realize how important my dog is to my life, my family, my mental health. And then we lost our dog. Everything's sort of cutesy, and there's nothing kind of like for what I call the heartland of America. March Marketing websites, that's MarchCorp, MarchCorp.com, and reach out there, and would love to connect with people in the community.
Welcome to the Leadership Loading Podcast. I'm Jason McClaren.
And I'm Tom Aiello.
Yeah. Today we have Tom with March Marketing. He's got a couple other things going on. We'll get into those. But Tom, let's start off with your background. I know you served in the Army. Tell us about, what led you to join and how your career progression started there in the military.
Yeah, for me, it was coming out of high school, looking at different options for college, and I had the opportunity to go to West Point, took it. It just felt like a really unique opportunity. It's hard as a 16, 17-year-old to make those kind of decisions, but it was a good one. Had some great experiences, made some great friends at West Point. I got commissioned as an officer in the engineer corps. Was combat engineer down in 1st Cavalry Division. Did all those, hua airborne air assault stuff. And had some deployments, one to Middle East, one to Panama, fighting riots down there, and just some other stuff in Korea. But amazing career, meeting some amazing people, and the experiences of what you learn in the military is just, you can't beat it.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of us, veteran myself, didn't know what to do in my life. And so that was kind of my springboard. And I did the Air Force firefighter deal. But yeah, I think, the service academies, I, wanted to go Air Force Academy, but I had no one there to mentor me and tell me, all the steps you have to take to do that. And so I think those that are interested in those military academies, of course, now you have the internet. When I was doing this 98, 99, not a lot of research you could do. But yeah, tons of research out there. Anyone interested in military academies, definitely check it out. So yeah, Tom, I know you have March Core or March Marketing, MarchCorp.com, and you guys are focusing on connecting brands with military. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, you're calling it Generation V. I think that's awesome. Generation V. We got all the Generation X, Generation Y. I think the veterans are pretty much their own generation. We've got a different mindset, different way of doing things. So tell us about what you're doing over there and how you got started.
Yeah, it's interesting was when I got out of the Army, it's interesting when you get in the military. I don't care if you're squared away NCO, an officer, you've got so many amazing skills to bring to corporate America. And you can go into sales, you can go into operations, plant management, you can go into marketing, you can do anything you want. And I had all these opportunities, and I saw this one company called Leo Burnett as a marketing company in Chicago, got into that. And just it's interesting how your military translates into a civilian job like that. For me, it was leadership, and the psychology of leadership really is kind of like what marketing is. And so I started my civilian career after the Army. And the more I got into marketing and advertising, the more I realized how there needs to be a specialization around the military and veteran community. So there's basically 20 some million that have worn the uniform and their families. And so that's bigger than the LGBTQ community and smaller than the Hispanic community. Think about all the specialization against those audiences. And there's really no specialization around the military and veteran community. So I had this idea to start this company called March Marketing, and did that, and really took a gamble that there would be need. There's marketing companies for marketing to women, to Hispanics, African American, Gen Z, and so took a leap of faith. It was kind of a scary time, to do something. I was just having a new daughter who was getting born, and probably not the best timing, but it seemed like the right thing to do. And you get all kinds of motivation if you're bootstrapping a new business. You're not sort of like 1 foot in, you're 2 feet in, because your livelihood depends on it. And as we got into it, it was like, different brands started to recognize the need. Nonprofits needed that. And then we got into government work, and we continue to do work, enrollment, and we got pulled into healthcare. There's so many, whether it's using the VA or using other things where they need to be able to communicate effectively to veterans. And so that really has been our lifeblood is being able to produce effective communications to military and veteran audiences. I thought we would be full service, and it turns out we do a lot of media buying. We do a lot of efforts around different aspects of the community strategy. Um, but it's really rewarding. I got to say, we have a mission that we exist to improve the lives of military and veteran community, and it means when we get clients that are like predatory lenders, trying to get VA home loans to, we turn those away, and we can afford to do that. And the things we do are helping the community, the clients we take on, whether it's mental health, whether it's different resources. I work with nonprofits, and again, it just feel like we're doing something that's really benefiting the community. We're really good at it. I consider it kind of like a combination of science and art, where we really kind of understand what makes the community tick, and we can really bring them things that help their lives, that improve their lives, that advance their lives. In doing so, it's been super fulfilling to do that for well over a decade now.
Yeah, I think you hit on a good point there. Starting a company or even an organization, if you're doing a nonprofit side, you got to learn to pivot. Like you said, you thought you were gonna be full service, kind of pivoted a little bit. Same thing when I started Go Heroes. I didn't have my daughter at the time. Of course, when we had my daughter, we had to kind of pivot a little bit and change direction. And then also we wanted to be everything career minded for veterans. We're going to do resume reviews, mock interviews. And we got a lot of pushback at the beginning because they're like, well, that's what XYZ company does, or that's what they do. And I said, well, there's still gaps, right? And so we did pivot. Now we do more of the professional development side on once you've got a job, you need to get credentials. Then we don't think veterans and first responders should pay for those out of their pockets. So we help with those goals there. But anyway, that's kind of how we pivoted there. And then same thing with this podcast and everything. We do the leadership development. And so I think that's anyone listening that's looking at starting a business or organization or anything, be ready to pivot, because your ideas may change, or you start doing market research and you see that what you were doing may not work in your area. Let's talk about Operation Good Boy. This is I guess you call it, what you call it, Black Rifle Coffee for pets.
Black Rifle Coffee for pet industry. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a subscription box service. I think those are kicking off now. So how'd you get that idea, and how's that going?
Yeah, it was during the pandemic. So I'm sitting there, and realizing just, we're all kind of isolated in our homes. It's a weird time, and I realize how important my dog is to my life, my family, my mental health. And then we lost our dog in the middle of that whole thing. And throughout that whole process, my dog was always trying to be happy, to my family members, even in its darkest hours. And I was the only one in the family that knew what was going on with the dog. And then when we finally lost her, it just really hit me. And I thought about the importance, and I felt like I needed to do something around dogs. And I looked around, and I just noticed, like, you look at the pet industry, and it's just everything's sort of cutesy, and there's nothing kind of like for what I call the heartland of America. And then you look at what Black Rifle Coffee did. Like, nobody was asking them to go and completely disrupt the coffee category, but they did, and it was hugely successful. So I said, we can do the same thing in the pet category. We can bring a premium product with a brand that means something, that stands for values, stands for loyalty. And that's going to mean something to a lot of people. And what we can do as a pet health brand is we can come in and we can bring, because what happens is you go to the vet, dog goes once a year if you're lucky, right? And so you don't get a lot of opportunity to talk about your pet's health. So what happens is there's a lot of avoidable things that you can do to keep your dog healthy, and we just don't do it because we don't know. And so what we're trying to do is help dog owners understand the things they can do based on the breed of animal they got, when it was born, and just do the right things over the course of its life to give it a great life, let it hopefully live longer. And so we've got pet supplements, we've got some enriched treats, and we've got some behavior modifying toys, all designed by another Army veteran. So Dr. Tim Lunam, he's a Army veterinarian and an airborne ranger, which is pretty hooah. And so I was talking with him early on about this, and he said, if we're going to do it, there's a lot of voodoo out there in pet health. We got to do it right. And so he basically formulated everything as from a veterinary standpoint. Like, I want to be able to give this to my patients. And then we went out and we got everything NASC certified, made in the USA. And it's just really interesting because you said the whole subscription box. So that's a great example of a pivot, right? We thought we were going to be like BarkBox with sort of a military. We came out of the gates and we really leaned hard into pet health. We saw that there's a huge opportunity in America to improve the health of dogs across the country. And we believe that, sort of powered by working dog science, we have a ton of credibility of a really quality product. We can bring it to every dog in America. And like you look at the number, I think it's about 74% of humans in America use some sort of supplement, vitamin, whatever, and only about 17% of dog owners so for their dogs. So there's this huge opportunity, but people just aren't able to learn about pet supplements. And so we feel that we've got the brand cause. We give back to military working dog charities and service dog charities. And that vehicle gives us the opportunity to help those organizations to make all the dogs in America healthier. And we have a kick-ass brand. It's really, really cool, and kind of goes against the grain of what everyone expects in the pet industry.
Yeah, when I was checking it out, they got like the grenade toy.
Yeah, I'm here.
Y'all got the grenade dog toy, and then you got the dog first aid kit. And of course, I live out in the country, so my dogs are always getting little boo-boos and things. I think those dog first aid is a whole nother game plan there. But yeah, going back to dogs, I lost my first dog, I think right after the pandemic. And like you said, it's different. When you're a kid and you lose a dog, it's like, oh, they went to live on the farm or something. Yeah, and your parents kind of hide it from you. But when it's your dog, we got my first dog as an adult, went and picked him out. It's tragic. He got through the gate when I was going to close the gate, and he decided and ran across the street and got hit. Your dog, and kind of pivoting back to the leadership part of this, I think dogs understand, there's a whole alpha dog mindset that, they understand who the leader is. And so being able to have a friend like that, that men's best friend, and take care of them and provide them with things that they need that are good for them, healthy, robust. I don't know how many dog toys I've been through. My new dogs, my Rottweiler now, he just shreds everything. So good deal. So how did you get started with all these projects? Is there startup funding, obviously? And then, how did you, I know everybody's different, but how did tackle those challenges, start your business?
Yeah, both companies represent a completely different approach. So it really comes down to what your business is, I think. When I was starting a service-based company in March marketing, I didn't have a huge capital need up front, right? I could have gone out and got a loan, and I could have hired people and staffed up that way. I was always more conservative about, I wanted to have the business to support my hires, and then I would sort of build. I'd get a contract or get a retainer client, and then I could hire up to that and then just sort of build on it progressively. And I like that approach because I always felt we had we were over our skis, right? We knew where we were at. We weren't extending ourselves. And I like that approach for a service-based company. So you grow steadily and strong, but it's hard to break that model down. Now with Operation Good Boy, it's pretty capital intensive to be able to do research and development, to be able to fulfill huge orders. We just got picked up by Walmart, Tractor Supply. We're talking to some of the big pet chains. And you have to have tens of thousands of dollars to produce that much product in our factories here in the U.S. So you need it. So I in that case, I partnered with a private equity, and we split up ownership of the company, but they were able to provide the funding. And now we're at a point where we're really growing off. Like we have 0 stores last year in 23. Next year, based on the commitments we've got, we should be in 3,000. So just a huge jump over a very short time. So now we're going out together and we're going to funders and we're getting investment, right? So it's called seed round. So we're basically seed round funding. We're looking to get a couple $1 million. It basically is going to fuel fulfillment of all these orders and help us on the marketing and sales. So yeah, it's exciting part. So two very different approaches for different types of businesses, right? And I think it really, my advice there would try to get the least amount of investment you need, but use it wisely. You get that investment, really use it as if it's your own money, and really try to stretch everything you can out of it and really get the best ROI, because then you're going to protect your equity in the company and you're really going to get the maximum return on that. So I think that's the way to do it. But, based on your business, you got to choose what's right for you.
Yeah, you see that a lot on the reality shows when they do the investments, that they ask them how much they have invested. Personally, personal money and then how much they borrow, because that's going to affect all the equity. If you can bootstrap it at the beginning, is the best way to go. I want to wrap up with board. So yeah, Go Heroes, producer for this podcast, and we're a nonprofit. We're always looking for people to sit on our board. So I know you're on the board of another company, and talk about, how that goes and how, people can do better at getting people on their board.
Yeah, board members are really important. So there's kind of two sides of it. Like there's a point as a veteran comes in your life where people go, wow, you've got a lot of leadership, you understand business, we'd love you to sit on our board. So I think, I now sit on a couple boards, and be strategic. It should, as an individual, expand your horizons, right? Give you something that you're going to grow through, and maybe a chance to give back if it's a nonprofit board. I think if you're on the organizational side, you're looking for board members who have experience that's relevant, right? They're going to have knowledge that's going to help you, maybe some things you don't know a lot about, or just general business where they can really bring a sort of a trained eye on what you're doing. In some cases, they can bring investment or fundraising. If you're a nonprofit, they can bring opportunities to go raise money. So I think as you look at getting board members, leverage relationships, like you were in the Air Force, people you may have known in the Air Force or people that served in the Air Force, and like that commonality, it's a good way to start a conversation about somebody joining your board. I think most Air Force veterans would find what you're doing very virtuous and want to assist and help, and you're helping other veterans in the community. So I think it's just, it's trying to really not just go out there and get people, but being strategic and thoughtful about how you go about doing it.
Yeah, I think that applies to the nonprofit and for-profit side. You can take on people that can raise money, but maybe their ethics or their business practices are not the best. But then vice versa, you want someone that can build on your group. And we did that early on. We had one to sit on a board and not do anything. But growing pains. So Tom, if you had like 1 minute elevator ride with someone and they were like, hey, what's your best leadership tip? What would it be?
I'd say my best leadership tip is the idea, your job as a leader, your teams, every one of those people should believe that you work for them and not the other way around. That's how they should feel, right? And if you can accomplish that as a leader, you will have your team accomplish more things than you ever thought. I've tried it every way, but I can tell you that without a doubt, lifting up your team, supporting your team to achieve their potential is the way for you as a leader to get the most out of them and be the best leader you can be. And some people call that servant leadership. But you can call it a lot of different things, but just helping each of your individuals understand what they want to do. And it's in a work context, their lives. If you can find that out and you could support them in all aspects of their lives, they're going to be fiercely loyal to you and they're going to really do some amazing things.
Definitely. I think I'm a big proponent of servant leadership and situational leadership, partnering those two together to make sure your team the best they can be. So Tom, how can listeners get a hold of you, or should they just go to your company websites and email you?
Yeah, the easiest way, just go to March marketing website. So that's marchcorp, marchcorp.com, and reach out there, and would love to connect with people in the community.
Definitely put those link show notes below. Come on the show.
Thank you. Take care.